But first of all, winners, boys. We've all brought about 2 to 3 to the table. I'll let Curtis have a crack first, since he is the special guest of the show. Who were your biggest winners of the week, mate?
First one I'll start off is Cleveland. I thought their performance against Kansas City was really impressive. And to be fair, if they probably didn't, they kind of like I wouldn't say they slacked off in that second half. Mahomes kind of turned it on in the second half, but they had a few errors in the second half that you wouldn't usually expect, like a fumble from Chubb. But otherwise, yeah, I thought that performance was extremely impressive. They were really innovative in terms of their play calls, especially in that first half. Um, so yeah, I think they're a serious threat this year in the AFC. The second one I had was the Chargers against Washington. It wasn't a big win, and obviously Fitz got injured early, but I thought it was a really important win for them. Last year they had 5 games that they lost by under 5 points, so for them to get a close win here was extremely important and kind of sets a precedence for the rest of the season to win those close games, which would have otherwise got them into the playoffs last year. And final win I had was the Raiders. Big win against Bolt. They usually lose those close games, especially over the last few years. So the fact that they got up in OT is a big win for them, and yeah, makes them on my winners list for the week.
Yeah, 100% agree. I reckon the Chargers thing might have had the coaching change might have played a part, because we know that Anthony Lynn shirked a few games last year. So yeah, hopefully
Indeed.
that's a sign of things to come for the Chargers. But yeah, the Raiders game, that was a weird one. People were saying it was like game of the year, but at the same time, it was like kind of a shit game. I don't know. It was a weird one. Pilch, who were your winners, mate?
Brought two to the table, mate. Firstly, Arizona. Did not expect this at all. Expected 10 to win this game, and Cardinals came out, blew them out of the water. O looked elite, D looked elite, so huge winners there. And my other one was the Rams. Stafford just looked elite for them, and I reckon for me they're probably my number 3 seed behind Tampa and Chiefs.
Yeah, they looked so good. And like that Bears defense is nothing to scoff at. And Stafford was cutting them apart. And then Hendo just took over in the second half and started running it down their throat. So yeah, that was pretty impressive. But yeah, Arizona looked sick. I predicted on the predictions last week, I predicted Tennessee to regress a little bit. So I know it's early days, but I was happy to see that one. I know our
Good
mate
shout, mate.
Quino. Thanks, brother. Quino, some of my other shouts weren't great, but yeah, Quinos, our mate, sent through a multi Sunday night, and that was one of the legs. And I think we all told him to not send it in. Maybe not purely because of that leg,
Worst
but
multi.
hope. Yeah, he had about, for those listening, he had about 4 legs. 3 of them were like 50-50, 60-40 at best. So yeah, it was a bit of a cooker, but he probably wanted some value, I guess. My winners, I've actually bought 3 completely different winners, so we're pretty much covering all the teams here in the NFL. But I've brought the Saints forward. I think their win over the Packers was outrageous. I don't think that differently of the Packers coming out of it. I think more highly of the Saints. So I think last week I said might just get the last wild card or miss the playoffs. I can't remember. I had them around like 9 or 10 wins, but I think Sean Payton showed that like he's genuinely has a, like, you could say he's best coach in the league, and I don't think many could really debate it. Like he's sort of flexed his muscles there. Some of the things the commentators were reeling off, out of the 8 blokes who caught passes for them, 3 of them were drafted. The other 5 were undrafted. So yeah, it just shows what Sean Payton can do with a bunch of blokes who were overlooked by other teams. And I just thought the defense, I know that it's been pretty elite for quite a while now, but holding the Packers, one of the best offenses, to 3 points is pretty unheard of. So yeah, I reckon huge win for the Saints in all aspects, really. And then I thought the Broncos played really well. Away from home, holding the Giants to 13 points isn't that big of a surprise because they have a good defense. But to me, I was most shocked by their offense to score 27 points. I thought that was pretty impressive. Their receiving core looked pretty sick. I know Jerry Jeudy went down injured, sadly for Curtis, who had him in fantasy. But yeah, 6 blokes had 3 or more catches, and out of those 6, 4 have been in the league for less than 3 seasons. So the likes of Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and their 2 tight ends. So pretty exciting times at the Broncos. Obviously got a rookie running back as well. So if Teddy can just do a good enough job, give 7 out of 10s every week, I reckon they could be a dangerous team that will beat a lot of good teams this year. And also Von Miller, in his first game back from injury, had 2 sacks and 3 tackles for a loss. So he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And then the Texans, final shout out, I said they'll win 1 game last year. And I'm still not ruling that prospect out because the Jags did exactly this last season. They won their first game of the year and then lost the next 15. But their offense to score 37 points, I was pretty impressed with that. Brandon Cooks, like, he's a genuine top receiver. Tyrod Taylor is just a bit of a cheat code, really, with his agility. And I think their running back group of Phil Lindsay, Mark Ingram, and David Johnson's kind of OP. Like, they're sort of 3 blokes who have been cast aside, but when you put all 3 of them together, they're not bad at all. Ingram had like 23 carries or something. Lindsay had a touchdown. David Johnson had, I think, 3 catches. So them all in tandem could be a bit lethal. Into the losers, though, we'll swing it back to Kurt, mate. Who were the people that came out of this weekend unfavourably?
I've got 3. First one has to be the Atlanta Falcons. They just got thumped, and to be fair, they did look good on the first couple of drives, but other than that, Matt Ryan looked to play pretty poorly. Pitts didn't live up to the hype, and yeah, Ridley didn't have a standout game, especially on fantasy. Second one had to be the Titans. Obviously they got again thumped by the Cardinals, and was super impressive from the Cardinals. So I've got to give it to them. And last one, got to be the Packers. They also got thumped. To be fair, that was extremely surprising. What was most concerning, though, I think, was their inability to even get any offense going. It wasn't even a concern in regards to their defense. It was the fact that A-Rod, Jones, and Adams couldn't really even get anything going. I think they were limited to like 3 points or something. So it was a pretty stiff game for them and a bit of concern. But I would tip them to bounce back for sure. Tip especially the last 2, the Titans and the Packers, to really bounce back. They're both pretty stacked on offense. So yeah, those are the 3.
Yeah, the commentators were sort of whipping out all the excuses in the book for the Packers. Like, they played shit, there's no way around it, but I do think some of the excuses are fair. Like, apparently none of the starting offense played a snap in the preseason. And apparently where they were playing, it was like 35 degrees Celsius. So, and Green Bay's like a freezing place. So that was some of the excuses they were whipping out. Could be fair, could be shit, but yeah, surely they bounce back against the Lions and get the job done. Pilch, who are your losers, mate?
The entire NFC North, whole division got rinsed by
that's true, actually.
By interdivision rivals. Green Bay got rinsed, Det got rinsed, Chi got rinsed, and Minnesota all got rinsed. So big loser there, and also gonna have to say Baltimore, because just I expected them to come out, as I said to you boys, and rip the Raiders, and they end up getting ripped, and their O looked honestly no better than it did last season, which was quite surprising to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've just remembered, Kurt, your rinsing of Kyle Pitts is fucking stiff as, mate. It's like 4 catches on debut as a tight end. Like, that's not even bad. I know he's picked 4.
When you draft him in the 3rd round in your fantasy league, mate, you need him to be producing a bit more than that.
Yeah, fair.
Or draft pick by Atlanta as well, I reckon.
Oh, I thought you were going to say by porn star Jimmy, but
and porn star Jimmy.
Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. Tight, that's too high, but I know like Hawk and stuff went pretty high and they're decent. But yeah,
don't think that was their need though.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Yeah, it's not Strange footy, actually, now that I think about it. You're right. But yeah, I had the Falcons. I just, like, we knew they were going to be shit. But losing to a team that I've predicted to win 6 games by 26 points is pretty frightening. Like, what's going to happen when they, for example, play the Bucks this week? Washington, a bit harsh because they were playing a good team in the Chargers, but just the injury to Fitzpatrick, I don't know if I had them in the playoffs. Had them there or thereabouts, but I think I had them around 10 wins. But I think this injury to Fitz could be out to up to 2 months. I think it has a real big impact on them. Like, I know this Taylor Heineke bloke led them to a win, I think, last year in one of his starts. But yeah, big risk. Could be anything, really. Could be absolutely dog shit. So yeah, I've just got a lot less belief in them now. I know their defense is still really good and they've still got some decent weapons and stuff like that, but for this offense to score more than like 20 points a week, I think it'll be pretty hard with this quarterback for the next couple of months. So it'll be tough for them to win games. And then finally, as Pilch said, I've got the Ravens. Just reckon, I know it's only round 1, but I just think in a tight division like the AFC North, I think losses like this can end up being pretty costly. I had them pipping Pittsburgh and also, in fact, pipping them for a wild card spot. So a loss like this could, sort of flip that the other way around. And also, I just didn't think, from the eyeball test, as they say, I didn't think, as Pilch said, I didn't think they looked good on either side of the ball. I know they've got a lot of injuries, and for example, like Jimmy Smith didn't play. I think he might play next week, but yeah, their defense looks a lot less scary at the moment. And yeah, as Pilch mentioned, the offense didn't improve like we were sort of expecting. Before we get into Curtis's playoff bracket predictions, me and Pilch did ours last week, so we thought we'd hear Curtis's this week. I just wanted to say some things that happened in week 1 of 2020, because there's some people coming out with some outrageous calls, whether it be fantasy or non-fantasy, and I think people just need to take a step back. So the Jags won in week 1 last year, went on to win 15 games. Cleveland lost by 32, went on to be in the playoffs. Tampa Bay lost as well, went on to win the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan threw 450 yards in week 1. So, like, didn't really have that good of a season. Minnesota were within a touchdown of beating the Packers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 140 rushing yards, and the Patriots actually won a game. So, yeah, I know we've just made some calls in that segment before, but I think everyone just needs to take everything with a grain of salt early. It's a somewhat long season, and yeah. But if anyone wants to trade me, Patrick Mahomes for Jameis Winston, I will accept it.
It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.